my beautiful mama, and welcome back to Momplex. My name is Scottie. I am your host, and I am so stoked you are here. You know how the kids say, at least this is what some of my kids are saying, I am him, when they're feeling themselves? Well, you are her. You are it. And I don't care if you haven't showered in 3 days, if your kid just had a full-blown meltdown over the wrong colored sippy cup, if they just told you that they failed their chemistry exam or they failed their driver's permit for the third time, or if you've ordered takeout every night this week. And if that to-do list looks like a CVS receipt, you are it. You're crushing it, and you are the perfect mom for your kids. But I know you don't always feel like that, because from the second we become moms, we're conditioned to look outside of ourselves for the answers. We not only look outside of ourselves for examples on what to do and what not to do, how to breastfeed, what to feed them, what schools to go to, the best sleep schedule, the 5 S's, but we're also told pretty much that you as you know yourself, that you have been. I didn't have my first kid till I was 30. So me, 30 years up into that moment, I was just gone. Me as I knew myself, bye-bye. And that's exactly what I did. I allowed myself to swim in that. I read all the baby books. I stayed up till the wee hours of the morning when I was pregnant, scouring through the baby books, highlighting them, taking notes in the margins. I mean, I was never this committed in school, but I was following all the quote expert advice. I was asking my friends who had had kids before me for all the answers. What are you doing? How are you feeding your kids? What does your Monday through Friday look like? Now, there's no shame in asking for support and for help, but I went very far to the extreme where I was not ever checking in with myself. I was always looking outside of myself, and I Googled every little thing. I watched what other moms were doing, and I tried to copy it because I was terrified. I was terrified that if I don't do this thing right, I'm going to screw up my baby. I legit thought I would break Addie's arm trying to put on her going home from the hospital outfit. I remember standing there. Her tiny little fragile body was on the bed in front of me. And I had never put an outfit on a newborn before, at least not my own, right? And I was so afraid that putting her arm through the tight little sleeve, I was going to break it. And I had tears streaming down my face. I was still wearing a diaper, by the way. And I was in so much pain. I had had an emergency C-section and I just couldn't do it. And I was so scared. I said to Park, oh my gosh, is this how it's going to be? I'm not going to know how to do anything. And of course, we realized that the outfit I had bought was for a baby that weighed 4 pounds. Addie was 2 weeks late, so she was just bigger anyway. So we ended up not being able to put on her fancy going out home from the hospital outfit, which, by the way, no one saw. We were living in Chicago at the time, and it was snowing. And so she was in the car seat with 18,000 blankets on top of her. But it just shows you the mindset I was in. I was petrified. I loved this baby so much. I wanted to be the perfect mom. I remember saying that to her as I was holding her. I'm going to be the perfect mom. And once I brought her home, I remember sitting at the park watching other moms, convinced that they had some magic manual. They looked like they had it all figured out. They looked calm. They looked rested. They looked capable. They were laughing. And I was just trying to keep my kid alive and not cry in public. I mean, how did they even have makeup on? They looked like they did their hair. I didn't even know where my hairbrush was anymore. And I constantly walked around with a permanent burp up stains on the back of my shoulder. I was scared. I had no clue what I was doing. So to help my fear and my feelings of anxiety, I was feeling so anxious about being a mom. And anxiety really comes from us not having the answers, right? If you thought about an area of your life right now where you are feeling anxious, and I know that they always talk about, they want us to not identify that, right? So it's really that beautiful practice. I'm feeling anxious about being a mom. I'm feeling anxious about helping my kid learn how to drive. I'm feeling anxious about getting them to breastfeed, right? When we feel anxious, we want that feeling to go away so we can execute, so we can get through it, so we can be strong, so we can take care of the things we want to take care of. And so knowledge helps make the anxiety temporarily go away. And so I kept looking outward for knowledge, convinced that the right answers, the right way to help me look like those moms at the park, those calm, confident moms who had brushed their hair that morning. I wanted that. But over time, what I didn't realize was that I was losing me in the process. I lost trust in myself. I stopped asking myself what I thought was the right answer. I completely put my own voice on mute. I got so caught up in trying to do the right thing, look like everybody else, that I forgot, oh my gosh, I am her. I am right. I am the right mom for my kids. Because all of our happiness, our answers, our strength, it is not outside of us. It is inside of us. Motherhood and your fulfillment is an inside job. We already have everything we need, and so do you. Your kid, and let's get a little woo-woo for a second. Your kid chose you for a reason. Your kid didn't choose that mom on Instagram. They didn't choose the mom from the baby books. They didn't choose the mom from Pinterest. They chose you. And if you were all of those things, I implore you. But even if you're not into the woo-woo, you've probably had a moment where you've been like, wait, why am I me? And why are they them? We all have those existential moments where we think, how am I the one in my body right now? How are they the ones in their bodies right now? And if you only want to sit on this, we don't have to get into the metaphysical on this, but it is because your kids are your soulmates. How beautiful is that? And that's not about love. It's about actually that your soul is at its purest and best around their soul. Their soul brings out the best in your soul and vice versa. Your soul brings out the best in their soul, just as you are, with your quirks, with your real life, messy, figuring it out energy, with your exact way of loving them, with your exact way of feeding them, with your exact way of putting them to bed, with your exact way of teaching them lessons and snuggling with them on the sofa, and the same for them, right? Your kids, if you closed your eyes right now and thought about them, you would probably say they are absolutely perfect right now, even though they pointed out all my wrinkles around my eyes today and they slammed the door in my face last night and they talked back to me and they forgot to put the milk back in the fridge. They're absolutely perfect. And we don't expect them to have it all together and to have all the answers. I bet you don't even expect your best friend to either, but we expect it of ourselves. Ugh, the pressure. And there's a beauty of balance in that pressure because it means you're ambitious and that you care, and you can't teach that. If you have high expectations for yourself, I love that. You have a beautiful, incredible life. I love that you're taking advantage of it. I love that you see it as a gift and that you want to show up every single day and make the most of it and give it your best. I freaking love that. And I'm here to support it. But I want you to really, really appreciate your way of doing that, right? And that your way is your way and nobody else has your unique abilities, right? But have you ever, especially as moms, when we become a mom, I feel like our obsess meter goes up a couple notches and we obsess over doing everything right while our kids couldn't care less. And there's no test. We're not going to get graded on this, right? Our kids don't care if bedtime is a perfectly curated routine. They don't care if the baseboards are clean. They don't care if you ate 100 grams of protein or got all your macros in. They care that you're there. And they care that you want to be there. They don't care if dinner's organic, gluten-free, dairy-free, handcrafted by a Michelin star chef. They just want to eat. And they want the food to be ready when they come in the door. And maybe they just don't necessarily always want to clear their plate, right? But they really are going to respond the best to your way, not the way that somebody else is doing it, because that's not their soul match. But, why are we still chasing perfect, unrealistic versions of motherhood? I chased it for a long time, and I have to catch myself sometimes that I still have that voice of perfection that pops in. I'm working on it right now. And again, I love myself for it because it truly means I care. But I want to create the space in our life to allow that in order to show up at our best, we've got to hit some hurdles along the way. I was walking around the track at my son's flag football game last weekend, and I was watching these high school track runners practicing for the 100-meter hurdles is what it looked like. And one of them went through, oh my gosh, she just looked like a gazelle. She was so strong and beautiful the way she was going over those hurdles. And she hit a couple of them. And when she finished, her coach was like, bravo, that was amazing. Bring it on back. I've got some feedback. I love it. You just did great. And I thought that was such a beautiful way for her coach to speak to her because one, she didn't get mad at her for hitting the hurdles. It's like they had built in space that the hurdles would happen. And in fact, she said that was incredible feedback. Like, I now know how to support you forward. Same thing goes for us. Every single day, we're going to go through life and life is going to throw us some hurdles. There is no failure. It's just feedback, right? If you hit a couple hurdles on your way to learning how to become a mom, and every day is a brand new day, we've never been this mom before with this kid at this age, there's always going to be hurdles. So if we realize that those hurdles are there to teach us, those hurdles are there to help us become more of who we are meant to become, to transform into our highest self, into that quote, soul match for our kids, doesn't mean we're failing. And I think this chasing of perfectionism, one, it's a form of self-sabotage, right? Because it's really keeping us in our comfort zones. Because if we never step out of our comfort zones and never try, then we'll never fail. But if we never step out of our comfort zones and we never try, we don't evolve and grow, right? And I think it was Martha Stewart who said, the day you're done changing is the day you're done. And we're still allowed to grow. We are still growing. I'm still growing as a human being. I am so different from where I was a couple years ago as a human, as an individual Scottie, as an entrepreneur, as a mom. I am constantly going over new hurdles as I'm chasing down, trying to crush these 100-yard dashes in my life, right? But this idea that we're just always chasing some perfect, unrealistic version of ourselves and ourselves in motherhood. It's why are we holding ourselves to these impossible standards when our kids were already a soul match? We're already magic. And you're going to have hurdles. You're going to have off days. You're going to mess up. And guess what? That's actually one of the most beautiful things in the world because it shows your kids what it looks like to mess up and what it looks like to pick yourself up from that mess up. If we are holding ourselves to these perfect standards, it is absolutely the pressure our kids are going to feel. But if we show them this is what it looks like to go after your goals and to go after those hurdles and to pick up a couple hurdles, and this is how I respond. This is what I learned from that. This is how I grow. This is a part of it. Then they have the muscles to handle whatever life dishes out. And I think that's the coolest thing. But confidence comes from the practice of it. I think for our kids, it's important for them to know, and it's important for us to remind ourselves over and over again, we're not born with confidence. Confidence is a muscle that you have to exercise, just like six-pack abs. And I know what you're thinking. I know, you're thinking, yeah, this all sounds good, Scottie, but I don't feel confident. And I really can't mess up. And if I mess up, then my kids don't get into Stanford and my kids don't become super successes. And, if I do this, then everything's going to fall through the cracks, right? I understand that. And I've been there. And I really appreciate that. And I can relate to those feelings. And I want to talk about in a, more detail really about how we can allow our kids to be truly a separate entity from us, right? And I loved this phrase that a mom of older kids once told me. She said, you cannot take credit for the good and you cannot be blamed for the bad. And, I think if we are showing up as our best selves and going through life, responding in a way that feels good, right? Not perfect, but good. And we're showing up with love and empathy and kindness. That's what we're arming our kids with. And what we want to do is trust them that for them to go and face their hurdles. And that when they fall down and scrape their knee, we're there for them, but it's not the end of the world and they're going to get through it. And that's part of strength. That's part of resilience. And here's one thing that's really helped me out a lot because as a mom, It's really hard to sit on the sidelines and watch your kids mess up, watch your kids get rejected, watch them fail, watch them have pain. You carry them on your hip for a dozen years, and then you carry them in your heart for forever, right? It is one of the most overwhelmingly heart-opening, heart gut-wrenching performances in life as being a mom. I have found the more I show up every day and take action towards my dreams and to becoming the best me I can be, not perfect, the best of my ability to be, I build resilience, I build confidence, and I build trust. And this helps me as a mom because then I can have the strength and the resilience and the trust and the patience when I am having to stand on the sidelines and watch my kid go through their journey. It's not about fixing their journey. It's about supporting them on their own journey. And as I support myself through my journey, as I go on my hurdles, it makes me stronger. It makes dealing with that much easier because I have the strength, right? And action comes first. Confidence follows. You build confidence by doing it anyway. You do it scared, by trying, by getting it wrong, and by getting back up. I had to learn myself as a mom, as a podcaster, and as an entrepreneur. I'm actually having a growth spurt right now. I'm doing a lot of things for the very first time. I'm doing it scared, and I am messing up every day. A lot. In fact, as I was sitting in the kitchen last night, I totally messed up and didn't measure this new washer and dryer properly. So I bought a washer and dryer that does not fit because I was rushing. And now I'm having a hard time getting it exchanged. But you know what? I looked at my husband and I said, babe, thanks for being there for me. This is a learning for me. I promise we're going to get through this. But of course, I'm still a busy mom. We're still going to mess up. We don't have all the answers. And it was good for my kids to hear that. It was good for my kids to see my conversation with my husband about this. It was good for them to see me talking myself through it. I messed up and this is how I'm responding. This is how I'm going through it. And I wasn't beating myself up about it, but I also was taking responsibility for it. And it's a beautiful growth spurt that I'm having. And it's a beautiful growth spurt that's going to help me be stronger for them. You know, I'm working to take this podcast to the next level. And that's a massive growth spurt for me. So I met with a coach today thinking she'd give me this exact formula for success. Sound familiar? I was looking outside of myself for the exact formula for success. You know what she said? Stop trying to sound like everybody else. Stop trying to do it like everybody else. Anchor into who you are, what you want, and go be her. And it hit me like a truck. I'm like, look at that. I already have everything I need. I just have to own it. And I have to own it in my work. I have to own it in my relationships. I have to own it in motherhood. And I'm learning this as a mom now that I've got kids that are about to go off to college. And I'm also applying it to other areas of my life, right? Because you know that saying, how we do one thing. And it's really probably one of the most beautiful gifts that you can give to yourself and your kids, because in all stages, each stage is new. And I don't care how many baby books you read, how many friends you ask, how many Pinterest boards you look at, you are going through this for the first time. And so is your kid. There's going to be a learning curve. And if we adjust to that and allow that and see that as beauty and growth and the normal process of life, it takes the pressure off of us to get it, quote, right. It takes this pressure off to like, I'm figuring it out my way. That's a totally different way to say it. But what happens when you have to go through this? And I know it's hard and scary. On the other side of it, the gift that you give, life becomes really fun. You feel incredible pride. You feel more connection to yourself. You really feel that space. You feel that identity coming back that you lost by chasing motherhood in other areas. When you come back to yourself, you feel the confidence building, you feel the inner peace building, you feel the anxiety starting to turn down, and you start to enjoy the present moment better because you're not so caught up in what you did yesterday and you're not so worried about tomorrow. You're really trusting that you have everything you need to show up at your best for your kids right now. That is probably one of the things that they left out of the baby books that I really wish they would have included in a chapter. And it's probably one of the best things that I talk to myself about all the time, right? Because like I said, I'm messing up all the time. But I constantly tell myself, you know what, Scottie? I'm doing the best I can right now with the information I have. And that's all I can ask. And when my kids see me talking to myself like that, when they feel that energy, it is giving them permission to do the same for themselves. And that gives them strength and confidence, which they need in today's climate with all the pressure that's happening in academics and colleges and social media and just the energy of the world, right? If we can help them feel so strong from the inside out, it really helps them show up to handle what's going on outside of them. It's a beautiful sense of control. Even though I know we can't control everything, we can always control how we respond to life, right? And it's just, ugh. And once you get over the, I don't know how to do this, Scottie, you're kind of pissing me off mood, you will see, wait, this is actually, I have everything I need. It's way easier than I'm making it. So how do you actually do this? Even in the chaos of your life, no matter how old your kids are or what stage you're in. I know this all sounds great in theory, but if you're wondering, how do I actually do this when I'm running on fumes and my house looks like a crime scene and I'm being pulled in 1,000 different directions? Here is what has helped me. 1, talk to yourself like you would talk to your kids. Would you let yourself or anyone else say to them that you're not good enough and you messed up and you better be perfect? No. If you would not say the things that are running through your head to your kid or your best friend, we need to cut that out. We need to start replacing them with thoughts of encouragement and thoughts of love, because how you talk to yourself determines how you show up in your life, and how you show up in your life creates your results, right? So really notice that inner voice and ask yourself, this thought I'm having, would I say this to my kid? And if you wouldn't, cut it out. Number 2, take care of yourself like you would take care of your kid. You would not let them skip meals or sleep or rest or not eat your vegetables or not drink enough water or stay up till 2 a.m. Give yourself that same grace. Treat yourself as good as you would treat that absolutely precious baby of yours. Number 3, drop the shoulds. There is no universal right way. What works for your family is the best way for you, period. You already know what is best for you and your family. We want to start to lean into that. If it feels good to you, that's your sign that that's the right way for you. And number 4, do it scared. Perfectionism just keeps you stuck. Confidence comes from taking action, not from waiting until you feel ready, and not from doing it a way that you found. It's like the beauty is for you to go out there and figure out your way. Oh, and you know what helps me out? Saying over and over and over again, it will work out. It will work out. Now look, this is my passion and my purpose. This is so much more than a mindset shift. This is so much more than a podcast episode. This is a movement, because it's not just about you. Your kids are watching. When they see you trusting yourself, trying new things, messing up and getting back up again, they learn the most important lesson of all. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy. They see that confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something that you build, and everybody is capable of building confidence. And let's be real for a second. Think about that one friend who seems to have it all figured out. I bet you have her in your mind right now. The one who oozes confidence, who walks into the room like she owns it. Do you ever catch yourself thinking, ugh, must be nice? Your brain's probably whispering to you, her life must be easier. She probably has more help. Her kids are easier than mine. She was just born that way. I want you to stop that right now, because the truth is she's just as human as you are. Her kids are just as human as your kids are, and they're just as unpredictable. And if she looks like she has her shit together, maybe she does. But instead of assuming she's got some magic that you don't, what if you just gave her a nod? Like, girl, I see you out there and you're crushing it. Mwah, sending you some love, because this motherhood thing, we're in this together. You know how like Jeep owners give each other that little wave on the road? I think moms should do that too, because we are in this together and nobody gets us like us, right? We are like literally the most exclusive club in the world. And I don't care if you care about anything outside of you, you have mother energy. We don't need to be perfect. We need to be real. So be imperfect. Try things out. Show your kids what it looks like to be human. Show yourself that you are her, that you can figure it out, that you have all you need. You have that magic. You have the secret, the golden ticket. You have everything you need inside of you. And if you don't feel like that today, I want you to know I love you and I see you, and that's okay. You've always got me. You've always got Momplex, and you always have a safe place to come and share, connect, and feel supported. But it will work out. You have everything you need inside of you, and you are her. I love you, Mama. Until next time, trust yourself.